She thought her father loved her until the day he sold her to a stranger. In a small town where the sun rarely shone, a girl named Amara lived in a crumbling house that echoed with silence. Her father, a man once full of dreams, had become a shadow of his former self, drowning in bitterness and alcohol. Amara, with her dark skin and bright spirit, was a reminder of everything he had lost. To him, she was a burden, a weight he could no longer carry. Amara had always felt the world differently. Born into darkness, she had never seen the colors of the sky or the faces of the people around her. Instead, she navigated her life through sounds, scents, and the warmth of the sun on her skin. The laughter of children playing outside was a melody she longed to join, but her father's anger kept her confined within the walls of their home. One fateful evening, the air was thick with tension. Amara sensed a change, a heaviness that settled in her chest. Her father had been drinking, and the familiar slur of his words filled the room. "You're going to be free, little girl," he had said, but the way he looked at her told a different story. That night, a man arrived at their doorstep. He was tall, with pale skin and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Amara's heart raced as she felt the weight of his gaze. "Is this her?" he asked, and her father nodded, a smirk playing on his lips. "She's all yours." Amara's world shattered in that moment. She was no longer a daughter. She was a commodity, a transaction. The man took her hand, and she felt the coldness of his grip as he led her away from everything she had ever known. The car was luxurious, the seats soft, but it felt like a cage. As they drove away, she didn't look back. She couldn't. The house where she was taken was grand, filled with echoes of laughter and the scent of fresh flowers. But it was a gilded cage, and Amara quickly learned that freedom came with a price. The man, Mr. Thompson, was charming yet controlling. He spoke of opportunities, of a new life, but Amara felt the chains tightening around her. Days turned into weeks, and Amara found herself trapped in a world that felt foreign. She was given beautiful clothes, meals fit for a queen, and a room that sparkled with light. Yet, the more she received, the more she realized that nothing was truly hers. The cameras watched her every move, and the staff treated her with a mix of reverence and fear. One evening, as she sat in her room, Amara overheard a conversation between Mr. Thompson and a woman named Clara. "She's perfect for the campaign," he said, his voice dripping with ambition. "A story of transformation. The blind girl who found her way to the light." Amara's heart sank. She was not a story, she was a person, but in Mr. Thompson's eyes, she was a trophy, a symbol of his success. The thought of being paraded around like an object filled her with dread. Determined to reclaim her voice, Amara began to plot her escape. She befriended Clara, who seemed kind but was also trapped in her own way. Together, they whispered plans in the quiet of the night, sharing dreams of freedom and the lives they had lost. One stormy night, as thunder rumbled outside, Amara seized her chance. The security system was down, and the staff was distracted. She slipped out of her room, her heart pounding with fear and hope. Clara met her at the back door, her eyes wide with urgency. "This way," she urged, and they ran into the night, the rain soaking their clothes but washing away their fears. They reached a small alley where a car waited, its engine running. Amara climbed in, her heart racing as they sped away from the life that had tried to cage her. The city lights blurred past, and for the first time, she felt the weight of freedom on her shoulders. As they drove into the unknown, Amara realized that she was not just escaping, she was reclaiming her life. She was no longer a pawn in someone else's game. She was Amara, a girl with dreams, a girl who would no longer be silenced. In the days that followed, she found her voice. She spoke out against the injustices she had faced, sharing her story with others who had been silenced. Together, they formed a community, a network of support and strength. Amara learned that freedom was not just about escaping, it was about standing tall, embracing her identity, and fighting for those who could not fight for themselves. She was no longer just a victim, she was a warrior, a beacon of hope for others trapped in darkness. With each passing day, Amara transformed her pain into purpose. She began to write, pouring her heart into words that resonated with those who felt unseen. Her story spread like wildfire, igniting a movement that challenged the very systems that sought to oppress. She organized rallies, spoke at schools, and connected with activists who shared her vision of a world where no one would be sold or silenced. The girl who had once been sold became a voice for the voiceless, a symbol of resilience and strength. Amara's journey was not without its struggles. There were days when the shadows of her past crept back in, whispering doubts and fears. But she learned to confront them, to acknowledge her scars as part of her story, not the entirety of it. In time, she found a community that embraced her, a family forged from shared experiences and mutual support. Together, they created safe spaces for healing, where laughter mingled with tears and hope blossomed amidst the pain. As she stood before a crowd one evening, the sun setting behind her, Amara felt a surge of gratitude. She had come so far from the girl who had been sold, from the darkness that had once consumed her. She was now a light, illuminating the path for others to follow. "Your past does not define you," she declared, her voice strong and unwavering. "You are not what was done to you, you are what you choose to become." The crowd erupted in applause, and in that moment, Amara knew she had found her true purpose. She was not just a survivor, she was a catalyst for change, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope could prevail. And as she looked out at the faces before her, she realized that together they were rewriting the narrative, one story at a time. Amara awoke to the sound of rain tapping against the window, a rhythmic reminder of the world outside. The mansion felt different today, as if the walls were closing in around her. She had been there for weeks, and each day blurred into the next, filled with the same routine of lessons and meals, all under the watchful eyes of Mr. Thompson and his staff. But today, something shifted in the air, a tension that made her skin prickle. As she sat at the breakfast table, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the room, mingling with the scent of pastries. Clara, the maid who had been kind to her, placed a plate in front of her. "Eat up, Amara. You need your strength," she said, her voice laced with an urgency that Amara couldn't quite place. "Clara, have you heard anything?" Amara asked, her heart racing. She had been hearing whispers in the night, muffled cries that echoed through the mansion's halls. It was as if the house itself was alive, holding secrets within its walls. Clara hesitated, glancing around to ensure no one was listening. "I've heard things about the East Wing. There are rooms there, Amara, rooms where they keep the ones who don't behave." Amara's stomach twisted. "What do you mean? What happens to them?" "I don't know," Clara whispered, her voice trembling. "But I've seen them taken away. They don't come back." A chill ran down Amara's spine. She had to know more. "Can you show me?" Clara shook her head vigorously. "No, it's too dangerous. If Thompson finds out—" "Then help me escape," Amara urged, her voice rising. "I can't stay here. I need to find out what's happening." Clara's eyes softened, but fear clouded her expression. "You don't understand. He has eyes everywhere. You can't trust anyone." That night, as the rain continued to pour, Amara lay in bed, her mind racing. She had to find a way to uncover the truth. The whispers she had heard were not just figments of her imagination. They were cries for help. She could feel it in her bones. The next day, during her lessons with Dr. Voss, Amara decided to test the waters. "What's in the East Wing?" she asked casually, feigning innocence. Dr. Voss paused, her expression unreadable. "Just storage, Amara. Nothing for you to worry about." But Amara could sense the tension in her voice. There was something more, something hidden beneath the surface. After the lesson, She wandered the halls, her fingers trailing along the walls, searching for any sign of the hidden rooms Clara had mentioned. As she turned a corner, she heard a faint sound, a muffled cry. Her heart raced as she followed the noise, her instincts guiding her. She found herself in front of a door that felt different from the others. It was slightly ajar, and the sound was clearer now, a child's sob. Amara pressed her ear against the door, straining to hear. "Please, let me go home," a voice pleaded. Panic surged through her. She had to help, but just as she reached for the doorknob, footsteps echoed down the hall. Amara froze, her heart pounding in her chest. She quickly stepped back, hiding in the shadows as Mr. Thompson approached, flanked by 2 guards. "Keep an eye on her," Thompson said, his voice low and menacing. "We can't afford any mistakes." Amara held her breath, her mind racing. She had to find a way to expose him, to save whoever was behind that door. That evening, as she sat in her room, the weight of the day pressed down on her. She felt trapped, suffocated by the walls that surrounded her. But she refused to be a victim. She would fight back. The next morning, Clara arrived with breakfast, her expression anxious. "You need to be careful, Amara. I overheard Thompson talking about you. He's not pleased with your progress." Amara's heart sank. "What does he want from me?" "He wants you to be a part of his campaign," Clara said, her voice barely above a whisper. "He thinks you'll be the perfect story, a blind girl who found her way to the light, but it's all a lie." Amara clenched her fists. "I won't be a pawn in his game. I need to find a way out." That night, as the mansion settled into silence, Amara made her move. She slipped out of her room, her heart racing as she navigated the darkened halls. She had to find the hidden door again, the one that led to the cries she had heard. The air was thick with tension, and every creak of the floorboards felt like a warning. As she approached the door, she could hear the sobbing more clearly now. It was a child, and the desperation in the voice sent chills down her spine. Amara pressed her ear against the door again, trying to gather her courage. "Please, let me go home," the voice pleaded, and Amara's heart ached for the child behind the door. She glanced around, ensuring no one was watching, and pushed the door open just a crack. The room was dimly lit, and she could see a small figure huddled in the corner, a girl no older than 8, with tear-streaked cheeks and wild hair. "Shh," Amara whispered, stepping inside. "I'm here to help you." The girl looked up, her eyes wide with fear. "Who are you? Are you here to take me away?" "Yes," Amara said, her voice steady. "But we have to be quiet. Can you tell me your name?" "Lila," the girl replied, her voice trembling. "They keep me here because I didn't do what they wanted." Amara's heart sank. What did they want? Lila hesitated, glancing toward the door. "They wanted me to say I was happy, but I'm not. I want to go home." Amara knelt beside her, feeling a surge of determination. "We're going to get out of here, Lila, but I need your help. Can you show me how to unlock the door?" Lila nodded, her small hands trembling as she reached for a hidden latch on the wall. "I can't do it alone. I'm too scared." "Just follow my lead," Amara said, taking a deep breath. "We'll do it together." As Lila fumbled with the latch, Amara listened intently for any signs of approaching footsteps. The mansion was eerily quiet, but she knew they didn't have much time. Finally, with a soft click, the door swung open. "Good job," Amara whispered, her heart racing with excitement. "Now, let's get out of here." They crept down the hallway, Amara guiding Lila with a gentle hand on her shoulder. The mansion felt like a labyrinth, each turn filled with uncertainty. They had to find a way to escape before Thompson discovered they were gone. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the other side of the house, followed by shouts. Amara's heart raced. "We need to hurry," she urged, pushing Lila to move faster. They reached a staircase leading down to the basement, and Amara hesitated. "Do you think it's safe?" she asked. Lila nodded, her eyes wide with fear, but filled with determination. "It's better than staying here." Amara took a deep breath and led the way down the stairs. The air grew colder, and the darkness enveloped them. They reached the bottom and found themselves in a dimly lit room filled with old furniture and boxes. "Where do we go now?" Lila asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Amara scanned the room, searching for an exit. "There has to be a way out," she said, her mind racing. "We just need to find it." As they moved deeper into the room, Amara's fingers brushed against a cold metal door. She felt around for a handle and found it, pulling it open with a creak. Beyond the door lay a narrow passageway, dimly lit and filled with the scent of damp earth. "Let's go," Amara urged, leading Lila through the passage. They moved cautiously, the sound of their footsteps echoing in the silence. After what felt like an eternity, they emerged into a small courtyard surrounded by high walls. The sky was darkening, and Amara could hear the distant sound of thunder rumbling. "We're outside," Lila exclaimed, her face lighting up with hope. "Yes, but we're not safe yet," Amara reminded her, scanning the area for any signs of danger. "We need to find a way over the wall." They searched the courtyard, looking for anything that could help them escape. Amara spotted a pile of crates stacked against the wall. "We can climb these," she said, her heart racing with adrenaline. Together, they scrambled up the crates, Amara helping Lila as they reached the top. The wall loomed above them, and Amara could see the world beyond, a glimpse of freedom. "Can you make it?" Amara asked, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her. Lila nodded, determination shining in her eyes. "I can do it." Rain lashed against the mansion's windows like fists, the storm swallowing the world in a roar of wind and water. Amara pressed her ear to the door of her room, her heart thrashing. Somewhere below, a clock struck midnight. Time. Clara's footsteps were barely audible over the storm, but Amara recognized the rhythm. 3 quick taps, a pause, 2 more. Their signal. She eased the door open, her fingers brushing Clara's rain-soaked sleeve. "The guards." "Distracted," Clara whispered. "Thompson's in the city. We have an hour." Amara nodded, though her lungs burned with every breath. The plan was simple. Disable the security grid, slip through the underground tunnel beneath the wine cellar, vanish into the storm. But plans, she'd learned, were fragile things. The hallway was a minefield of cameras. Amara moved like a shadow, her blindness an unexpected ally. No need to squint against the dark. Clara led her to a service stairwell, the air thick with mildew and rust. Down, down, until the mansion's opulence gave way to damp stone. The tunnel entrance was hidden behind a false wall, its hinges screeching like a wounded animal. Clara cursed. They'll hear nothing over this storm," Amara said, though she wasn't sure if she believed it. The tunnel yawned ahead, blacker than blindness, smelling of earth and rot. They ran. Water sloshed around their ankles, then their knees. Somewhere ahead, rats squealed. Clara's breath came in ragged bursts. "Left here," she panted. "The exits." A shout echoed behind them. "Stop them!" Amara's blood turned to ice. Thompson's voice. He wasn't supposed to be here. Clara grabbed her arm, yanking her into a side passage. They lied. They knew. They knew. Boots splashed in the distance. Flashlight beams sliced through the dark. Amara stumbled, her palm scraping jagged stone. "Clara, go!" "Not without you." The exit loomed, a rusted grate half submerged in water. Clara heaved against it, muscles straining. "Help me." Amara threw her weight forward. Metal groaned, then gave way. Rain and wind howled through the opening, the city's distant glow a blur of smudged light. They crawled into the storm, the mansion's silhouette shrinking behind them. The streets were rivers, the sky a chaos of lightning. Amara's dress clung to her skin, heavy as chains. "Where now?" Clara shouted over the wind. Amara hesitated. The slums, the church, the plan. But plans were broken now. "Follow the rain," she said. The abandoned church stood at the city's edge, its steeple cracked, its doors hanging loose. Inside, the air stank of wet ash and urine. Amara collapsed against a pew, her body trembling. Clara barred the door with a broken chair. "They'll find us here," she said, voice hollow. "Not tonight," Amara replied, but she wasn't sure. A rustle came from the altar. Amara froze. "Who's there?" A figure emerged, a boy no older than 14, his face gaunt, his eyes wide. You're her," he breathed. "The girl from the news." Amara stiffened. "What news?" The boy pulled a crumpled flyer from his pocket. A grainy photo of her face stared back, the words beneath it screaming, "Missing, reward." Clara snatched the paper. "Thompson's offering money to anyone who turns you in." Amara's throat tightened. "Do you want the reward?" she asked the boy. He shook his head fiercely. "They took my sister too, last year. She's still there." The confession hung in the air, raw and bleeding. Amara reached out, her fingers finding his arm. "What's your name?" "Eli." "We'll find her, Eli." Clara's laugh was sharp. "How? We're rats in a trap." Amara stood, her legs steadying. "Then we stop running. We fight." By dawn, others came. A girl with scars on her wrists, a man missing 2 fingers, a woman clutching a baby. Word had spread. The blind girl who'd escaped Thompson's mansion was here, breathing, alive. They brought food, candles, whispers of hope. Amara stood on the church's crumbling altar, the weight of their stares pressing against her skin. She didn't need sight to feel their fear, their rage. "They think we're weak," she said, her voice carving through the silence. "They think we'll bow, beg, break, but we're not stories for them to twist. We're not ghosts." Someone sobbed. A hand found hers, Eli's. "They stole our voices," Amara said, louder now. "So we'll take them back. We'll scream until the world hears." The room erupted, not applause, but a roar, a promise. Clara leaned close, her breath warm. "They'll kill you for this." Amara smiled. "Let them try." Outside, a car slowed. Black, quiet, familiar. Amara's pulse spiked. "Clara, now!" But it was too late. The door crashed open. The church became a hive. By day, they gathered stories, whispers of missing siblings, parents, friends. By night, Amara and Clara typed them into a stolen laptop, uploading testimonies to encrypted forums. The world began to notice. Hashtags bloomed. "Find them," "Break the chains," "Amara speaks." But fame, Amara learned, was a blade. It started with a video, a grainy clip of her kneeling in Thompson's mansion, head bowed, his hand on her shoulder. "I'm grateful," her voice said, tinny and distorted. "He saved me." The lie went viral. Comments erupted. "She's a fraud." "Paid actress." Clara slammed the laptop shut. "They edited it. They stole your voice." Amara traced the braille keyboard, her jaw tight. "Then we steal it back." The journalist arrived unannounced, a woman in a sharp suit, her perfume cloying. "I want to help," she said, pressing a business card into Amara's hand. "Mara Cole, investigative reporter." "Give me the truth and I'll bury Thompson." Amara hesitated. "Why trust you?" Mara's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Because I've seen what he does to children." They met in secret for weeks. Mara documented everything, scars, testimonies, the coordinates of Thompson's warehouses. "This will change everything," she promised. The article dropped at dawn. "The man who trades souls." But the byline wasn't Mara's. Thompson's face grinned beneath the headline, the text praising his philanthropy. Amara's evidence? Twisted into proof of his generosity. Clara stormed into the church, clutching the newspaper. "She sold us out. Mara's his." Amara's chest hollowed. "Eli?" "Gone. His sister's foster family turned him in. Thompson's men took him an hour ago." That night, they came for the church. Molotov cocktails shattered the stained glass, flames licking the pews. Amara dragged a sobbing woman outside as the roof caved in, embers stinging her skin. "This is your fault," a man screamed, his face lit by fire. You brought this on us. Clara shoved him back. Save your breath. Run. They scattered into the alleys, the city's glow now a funeral pyre. Amara gripped Clara's arm. The rally. We still go. Are you insane? They'll kill you. Amara peeled off her scarf, wrapping it over her eyes. Let them see what they've made. 5,000 people filled the square at noon. Amara climbed the makeshift stage, the blindfold tight, her voice amplified by a crackling speaker. They want you to think I'm a liar, a puppet. Look closer. She played the tape. Eli's voice, shaky but clear. My sister's name is Lila. She's 9. He took her because we couldn't pay rent. The crowd stirred. Amara raised Thompson's leaked documents, their pages fluttering. These are his receipts. Children. Bought. Sold. Erased. A tomato exploded at her feet. Liar. But others surged forward, hands outstretched. Tell us how to fight. Amara stepped to the edge of the stage. Find the quiet places, the empty homes. Listen. The shot rang out as she descended the stairs. Screams. Chaos. Clara tackled her to the ground. Sniper, move. They fled through the panicked crowd, Amara's blindfold slipping. For a heartbeat, she saw it, the glint of a rifle scope atop a parking garage. Then darkness again. In the safe house, Clara bandaged her scraped knees. They'll try harder next time. Amara touched the blindfold, now stained with blood and dirt. Good. A knock rattled the door. Clara peered through the curtain. A kid, maybe 12. The boy shoved a note into Amara's hand, then fled. Tonight, abandoned hospital. Room 217, come alone. Clara snatched the paper. Trap. Or a way to find Eli, Amara said. The clock ticked. Somewhere a child wept. The abandoned hospital loomed ahead, its windows shattered and walls crumbling, a ghost of what it once was. Amara stood at the entrance, her heart pounding in her chest. The note had been clear. Come alone. But the thought of facing whatever awaited her inside sent a shiver down her spine. She had to find Eli. She had to know if he was safe. As she stepped through the threshold, the air turned stale, thick with dust and the scent of decay. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the distant drip of water echoing through the empty halls. Amara's fingers brushed against the cold, rough walls, guiding her deeper into the darkness. She could feel the weight of the building pressing down on her, a reminder of the countless lives that had passed through these halls, many of them lost. Room 217, she whispered to herself, repeating the number like a mantra. She moved cautiously, her senses heightened, every sound amplified in the stillness. The floor creaked beneath her feet, and she paused, listening intently. A faint sound reached her ears, a whimper, followed by a soft voice. Help me. Please. Amara's heart raced. Eli, she called out, her voice trembling. Amara. The voice was weak, filled with desperation. Is that you? She followed the sound, her pulse quickening as she approached a door marked with peeling paint. With a deep breath, she pushed it open, the hinges protesting with a groan. Inside, the room was dimly lit, the only light filtering through the broken window. Eli lay on the floor, his hands bound with rope, bruises marring his face. Amara rushed to him, her heart aching at the sight. Eli, what happened? They took me, he gasped, tears streaming down his cheeks. They wanted to know where you were. I didn't tell them, I swear. Amara knelt beside him, her fingers trembling as she worked to untie the ropes. I know you didn't. I'm here now. We're going to get out of here. As she freed him, the door suddenly swung open, and a figure stepped inside. A man in a dark coat, his face obscured by shadows. Well, what do we have here? He sneered, his voice dripping with malice. Amara's heart dropped. Run, Eli, she shouted, pushing him toward the window. But the man lunged forward, grabbing her by the arm. Not so fast, he growled, pulling her back. You think you can just waltz in here and take him? Eli scrambled to his feet, his eyes wide with fear. "Let her go." "Stay back," Amara shouted, her voice fierce. She could feel the adrenaline coursing through her veins, fueling her determination. "You don't have to do this." The man laughed, a cold, cruel sound. "You have no idea what you're up against, girl." Suddenly, the sound of footsteps echoed down the hall, growing louder. The man's expression shifted from amusement to panic. "No, they can't be here yet." Amara seized the moment. "Eli, now." They bolted for the window, the man's grip loosening as he turned to face the approaching footsteps. Amara and Eli climbed through the broken glass, the shards cutting into their skin, but they didn't stop. They landed hard on the ground outside, rolling to absorb the impact. "Run," Amara urged, grabbing Eli's hand as they sprinted away from the hospital, the sounds of chaos erupting behind them. They dashed through the overgrown grass, the night air thick with tension. As they reached the edge of the property, Amara glanced back. Shadows moved in the doorway, figures emerging from the darkness. "They're coming," she shouted, pulling Eli along. They ran into the nearby alleyways, weaving through the maze of buildings, their breaths coming in ragged gasps. Amara's mind raced, searching for a place to hide, a way to escape. "Where do we go?" Eli panted, glancing over his shoulder. "There's a safe house nearby," Amara said, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her. "We can make it." They turned a corner, and Amara's heart sank as she spotted a group of men blocking the street ahead. "This way," she shouted, dragging Eli into a narrow passage between two buildings. They squeezed through, the walls closing in around them. Amara could hear the men's voices growing louder, their footsteps echoing behind. "They went this way," one of them shouted. "If this story moved, you consider subscribing for more, check out the next video, or explore others on the channel, and if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it with."